Merry Christmas and Happy New Year coming out of the Christmas break here. A couple days short of New Year's Eve. It is the final game of the first half of the schedule for the Miami RedHawks men as they take on NAIA Wilberforce in a tune-up game. Last non-Division I opponent that the RedHawks will take on this season. And the second to last non-conference game before the back half of the MAC Sun Belt Challenge coming up in February. Luke West Poley, Zach Rengers will send you to Anthem real quick. But, Zach, this has been a Miami team that's been progressively getting better over the course of what was a very tough non-conference schedule. Got a nice Christmas gift in the win against Vermont 1 week ago tonight, and a chance to tune some things up against an NAIA foe here this evening.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a team that's trying to build more and more momentum into this MAC season. I think last year they didn't really feel they had the shot to make some noise in that conference. They have it this year. They're building momentum. This will be that last final tune-up to get everything right before you have to start MAC play.
Toss it over to public address for National Anthem. Zach and I back in a bit. You're listening to Miami Basketball on Red Hawk Radio. Luke West Poley, Zach Rengers back with you here from Millett Hall. Miami and Wilberforce set to lock horns here on this Friday evening from Millett Hall. Take a look at our starting lineups here this evening. Nothing new for Travis Steele and the RedHawks. Evan Ipsaro, Darishi Hunter, Makai Cooper, Jaquel Morris, and Bryce Boltman are the starting five for Miami. Pretty similar to what Travis Steele has gone with, especially of late in the back half of the non-conference as Miami plays their final game of the 2023 calendar year, looking to get back to 500 before MAC play starts on January 2nd. That's next Tuesday right here at Millett Hall against Western Michigan. For Wilberforce, they come in having already played 15 games this season. The NAIA starts their season a little bit earlier, and Wilberforce has been through a gauntlet early on in this season. They're 5-10, 1-0 in conference. And head coach Mark Mitchell will go with Kyle Cardenas, Jameer Himes, Callie Davis, Jermaine Marshall, and Josiah Mobley to start for the Bulldogs. If you're not familiar with Wilberforce's game, as most people probably are not, this is a very small school about an hour and a half from here that many who even live in this area have not heard of before. They press the entire game, and you can see why when you look at the final scores of the games that they play. All but 4 of the games they've played this season out of 15 have resulted in one team or another or both scoring at least 100 points, as this Wilberforce team likes to play very fast on both ends of the floor. Their shooting shirts say trap or die on the back, Zach, and certainly an interesting mantra and a play style that Miami will probably have to get used to in the first couple of minutes of this game.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is not a play style that any mid-major or high-major team is used to seeing. You might see the occasional press out of TV timeouts, or you might see a press down late in the game, but you're never going to see it the whole game long. But you have to just respect the tenacity of this Wilberforce squad. But like you said, the biggest thing is, Luke, You got to have your guards ready to go. They got to be able to facilitate the ball across the floor, get quick buckets, get back on defense, and this should be a pretty handed victory for this team.
Yeah, it should be, but also, Zach, it is a little bit convenient for this Miami team because you think about early on in the year when they suffered some of those early losses. You look at the Evansville game, the Texas State game, the first couple games of the year. They turn the ball over a lot early on, and this Red Hawk team hopes that they've gotten better at that, and that's been shown with the results that they've been getting. Wins against Marshall and Vermont over the back half of this non-conference set have been very quality for this team. But you're really going to see here, although the quality of opponent may not necessarily be as high, Wilberforce is going to force the issue, and if you are maybe a little willy-nilly with the basketball, it's going to get exposed.
Absolutely, and you have to relay that to your guards, and I'm sure they are well aware. Obviously, Evan Ipsaro, Makai Cooper, Darwishi Hunter, they are going to know that taking care of the basketball is of utmost importance in tonight's game. They simply cannot be willy-nilly with the ball. You have to force the issue going against this full-court press from Wilberforce. You can't let them find you on your heels. You have to go straight to them, get it down the floor, get quick buckets, and get back on defense. This is not a game where you can just take it easy going into this because you will get burned going against this squad.
Miami wearing the home white uniforms, script Miami across the front with red numbers on the front and back and red names on the back. Wilberforce with the green tops and bottoms. The yellow block letters read Force across the chest. They've got yellow numbers on the front and back and yellow trim. Pretty good crowd here at Millett Hall, all things considered, for a winter break game just before New Year's Eve. Ball is up in the air. It's tipped back and won by Miami, who moves left to right in the first half. And off we go from Millett Hall. It's Evan Ipsaro controlling things from up top. Down for Jaquel Morris, tried to slip one through into the paint for Darwishi Hunter, but it was stolen away by Wilberforce, and they'll go the other way. Pass to the far side to Josiah Mobley, one of a couple Columbus natives on this Wilberforce team. Just one non-native of Ohio. That's Rasad Pettis from Mississippi on this Wilberforce squad. All 8 guys outside of him from the Buckeye State. 8 to shoot, and the Bulldogs just passing it around the arc right now. No penetration. Finally, Kyle Cardenas steps back, triggers a 3. Airballed it left, and it's out of bounds on the baseline. 19-19 to go, and no score here in our first half. It's back to the RedHawks.
Yeah, and the tallest player on this Wilberforce team, only 6'6", so going inside is not going to be their strong suit. Going to look for them to shoot it from distance a lot tonight.
Got to see our first press from Wilberforce, and Miami broke it rather quickly, getting it up ahead. It's Darwishi Hunter driving on the wing, whips it near side for Makai Cooper, who nearly lost it. Instead, he gives to Darwishi Hunter, who fired off a right wing 3. It wouldn't go, but the offensive rebound picked up by Bryce Boltman. Gets it back, spins into the paint, tried to finish, had too much on it, gets his own rebound and lost control when trying to dribble. It's out of bounds off the RedHawks. 1 minute and 8 seconds gone by, and we are still scoreless.
Yeah, and Luke, you see the size differential there. Multiple offensive rebounds in that set. Look for that to be where Miami kind of exposes this Wilberforce team.
On the near wing, this is Josiah Mobley back up top for Jermaine Marshall. Over to the far wing. It was nearly turned over. Callie Davis getting a short pass now, dribbling with the left hand. He'll just pull up from straight away, and that rattles off. Darwishi Hunter rises up for the rebound for Miami. Quickly ahead on the right wing. Hunter all the way down the lane, gets to the cup and scores with the right hand. 2-0 RedHawks, minute 40 in. And it looks like we got a carry call on Wilberforce's Jameer Himes, who just awkwardly dribbled the basketball, and Wilberforce will commit a truly unforced error there and give it back to Miami. RedHawks will bring on Anderson Marambo to replace Jaquel Morris. Marambo played 2 games last week. Made his season debut after some eligibility issues against Wright State on Tuesday, and then followed it up against Vermont last Friday. Both of those games double digits in points. Ball back into play. Bryce Boltman into the near corner. Makai Cooper open for 3. Rattles off, and the rebound on the MAC logo pulled down by Callie Davis for Wilberforce. Quickly ahead, Jermaine Marshall down the right lane. Wild shot, won't go, flies off to the right. Tried to bat it back on frame, but it hit off the underside of the rim. And a rebound picked up by Darwishi Hunter for the RedHawks. Darwishi Hunter, who hit the buzzer beater against Vermont, plays give and go with Marambo, has it back and feeds Ipsaro in the near wing. Ipsaro goes back up straight away, and waves for Darwishi Hunter to move inside. On the right wing, Makai Cooper now for Darwishi Hunter in the near corner with 10 to shoot. Makes his way inside the arc, kicks back out for Cooper, drives, kicks out. Boltman from the left corner, airs out a three, it won't go. Offensive rebound on the weak side, though, by Anderson Marambo. He gave out for Hunter, gave back to Marambo. Now it's Hunter again from the right wing, into the corner for Makai Cooper, driving baseline to the near corner. Boltman spots up for three. That's too strong on a line drive shot. Marambo was boxed out by Mobley, and it's out of bounds on the rebound. Nobody touched it, so the last touch was the shot by Bryce Boltman. It'll be Wilberforce ball here, trailing 2-0 with 17:16 to go in the opening half.
Yeah, Miami really has not found that shooting stroke from outside yet. They've had some really good looks, and this game could be a lot more lopsided, but have been unable to find nylon to this point.
Miami, the best three-point shooting team in the MAC, ranked 20th in Division I. Jameer Himes drives down the right lane, puts up a shot from 10 feet and scores to tie the game at 2 aside, 3 minutes gone by. Ryan Mabry onto the floor for Miami. The sophomore dribbles it up with the left hand, wearing the bright blue shoes. Over for Marambo at the left elbow. Now extending out, he gives back to Mabry outside the arc, bouncing in for Marambo. Whips it across the court. Ipsaro fires off a three. It's in and out. Bryce Boltman high in the air, gets the rebound, bounces for Marambo down low. He couldn't get the shot away, and he stepped out of bounds when trying to throw it back in. And the RedHawks will give it back here, but these offensive rebounds, Zach, continuing to pile up for Miami.
Yeah, have not been able to capitalize on the offensive rebounds, but they have been there, extending possessions well past the shot clock.
Callie Davis on the near wing for Wilberforce, across to the far side for Josiah Mobley. Bounces it through for Jameer Himes. Made his way down the right lane, but was walled off. Is forced to kick out for Davis. Davis straight away with Ipsaro on him. Steps back, fires a free throw line, Jay, and he knocks it down. Wilberforce has got the lead 4-2. And the press forces a ball batted out of bounds. Last touch by the Bulldogs as Jameer Himes got his arm in there. And that's the first time we've seen this trap start to get to Miami a little bit. This time the RedHawks will just float a pass ahead, and it finds Evan Ipsaro who crosses the timeline on the left wing. Around to the near side, Mabry, contested triple, got it. RedHawks are hoping Ryan Mabry will start to work into the fold scoring-wise, as he came in as one of the better offensive returners, as an offensive foul is committed there by Wilberforce on Evan Ipsaro. And with 15:49 to go in the opening half, Miami leads it by a 5-4 count. Headed to immediate timeout here from Millett Hall. And stay with us. On the other side of the break, we'll have more Miami basketball for you. RedHawks leading at 5-4 over Wilberforce. You're listening to Miami basketball on Red Hawk Radio. .49 to go here, opening half. Luke West, Poley, Zach Rengers back with you. Miami leading 5-4 over the Wilberforce Bulldogs. And Zach, under 16 media timeout. This team gives up about 100 points a game. Not great for Miami that they've only scored 5 points. RedHawks have looked physically dominant, but still looking to find that shooting shrimp.
Yeah, they simply just haven't found nylon on a lot of their shots. They've gotten open looks. They've gotten offensive rebounds, just has not translated to points yet. Look for them to turn that page and really start getting into the scoring column here.
Miami just passes the ball over the press there, and Anderson Marambo has it on the right wing. He hands for Makai Cooper. Ian Elmer onto the floor for Miami, freshman from Taft High School. Gives to Marambo. He bashes his way down the center of the paint, draws the foul, and lays it in. Anderson Marambo with the and one, threading the needle there right down the center of the paint. And he'll go to the free throw line to try and make it a three-point play with 15:32 to go here in the first.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about off air, Luke, with a team that's as mismatched in terms of size as you see with Wilberforce. Only the top guy on their roster, only 6'6". You want to try to attack the paint, and that's what they did on that possession.
Marambo left the free throw short, and so Wilberforce grabs the rebound and heads the opposite direction. Davis gets it outside. Himes thought about the shot, instead pulls back down, slashes across before feeding a pass to the far side. Now Davis will pop up for three. That one too strong off the heel. It's tapped out of bounds on the board in front of the Miami bench. Last touch by the RedHawks. It'll stay with Wilberforce. Jaquel Morris coming onto the floor for Miami to replace Anderson Marambo. 15:13 to go first half, and it's 7-4. The RedHawks in front. 20 seconds on the shot clock for Wilberforce to work with. Jameer Himes at the logo, pushes to the right side for Cardenas. Cardenas into Callie Davis, who's bracketed, pushes back outside. Cardenas down the right wing, gets it into the paint for Preston Steele. Lost it, now it's batted out of bounds, and it's last touch by Miami with 6 to shoot.
Yeah, great heads-up play there by, it looks like Makai Cooper, able to get his hand in on a little help defense and just dislodge that ball in what would have been probably an easy layup for Wilberforce.
Preston Steele on and off that quickly. No relation, by the way, for the freshman from Columbus to the Miami head coach. We get a foul inside. Product of Afrocentric High School, which is big basketball powerhouse, especially on the girls' side. One of the best girls' basketball programs in the state of Ohio out of the state's capital. From the baseline, an offensive foul away from the ball on the inbound. So we got a foul on the RedHawks and then a foul on Wilberforce. It'll go against Jermaine Marshall.
Yeah, and you talk about Afrocentric connections all around the game. One of his teammates, obviously talking about Preston Steele, one of his teammates now playing a big role for former Xavier coach Travis Steele's old program, Dalen Swain, one of the top freshmen in the country, going in to Big East play for that Big East squad. So connections all over the place, and you're absolutely right. Afrocentric has really cemented themselves as one of the top high school programs in all of Ohio.
Officials are going to go to the monitor here to look at this foul on Marshall, presumably for potential flagrant. They will take a look at this. This is new for Wilberforce, by the way. They don't play games with video review very often. That's not a standard at the NAIA level. This is their second Division I opponent they've played this season. Earlier this year, they played Eastern Kentucky, and Wilberforce lost, gave up 133 points in that game. And if you look at the box score alone, you think, wow, but then you watch Wilberforce in person and you sort of realize why. They scored 75 in that game too, which oftentimes that's a winning recipe, but not with how many possessions are in a Wilberforce basketball game. Their most recent game was canceled. They were supposed to play Lincoln, an NAIA program out of California. So their last game was against Point Park in the Pittsburgh area back on December 14th. So it's been a little while since they've played, over 2 weeks. That was an 105-91 loss. Jaquel Morris at the free throw line, so it looks like we got a flagrant foul here on Wilberforce. He misses the first free throw long. And Morris's second free throw in the air drops true. 8-4 RedHawks, 14:59 to go in the opening half, and ball will be rolled all the way to the other side of the court for Miami to inbound with a full 30 seconds from their defensive baseline. Ryan Mabry with the insertion in for Makai Cooper. Quickly jabs forward for Bradley Dean. Nearly lost it. Ball's loose on the floor. Dean gets to it first and flies it ahead for Makai Cooper, who sails up the left wing and gets it across the timeline. Finds a wide open Jaquel Morris under the basket, who dunks it with both hands. 10-4 RedHawks just over 5 minutes in. Fumbling with it. Callie Davis recovers in the corner. Give and go. Has it back under the basket, and he traveled. That would have been an over-the-back foul against Jaquel Morris, but shuffled his feet before that. It'll go back to Miami here with 14:37 to go in the first, leading by 6.
And that last 10 seconds shows you why their games are so high scoring. They give up a controlled chaos bucket for Miami and quickly down the floor for a turnover.
Miami just baseball passed it past the press that time as Mabry hooked up with Bryce Boltman. Now the RedHawks will settle it down into the half court. Bradley Dean on the left wing. Swings back out for Makai Cooper, floats it up top. Jaquel Morris skies over everybody, comes down with it, and scores off the glass. There is absolutely no size answer on this Wilberforce team for Jaquel Morris, the big 6'8" sophomore from Brooklyn. And Miami leads it by 8 with 14:05 to go in the opening half. Himes circles to the far wing. Mobley drove across to the near side and was fouled on the run. It's on Ryan Mabry for Miami, and so that'll reset the shot clock to 20 seconds as Mabry gets his first and the second team foul for the RedHawks. Himes directing traffic from the baseline, threw it in. It was plucked away by Bryce Boltman into the corner. Jaquel Morris down on the floor for it. It's tipped out of bounds, and it will stay with the RedHawks here. That was right in front of the bench, and we have learned in Travis Steele's early time here, Zach, that there's not a whole lot he loves more than when guys get down on the floor. Jaquel Morris got the bench fired up there.
Absolutely. That fits the Southwest Ohio basketball mold. That's what you're going to see on the high school level and grade school as well. That's how we like to play down here.
Miami will press break, and then the foul is committed on Jaquel Morris right after the ball got across the timeline. 13:49 to go first half. Foul is on Preston Steele for Wilberforce. Reese Potter coming on for Miami to replace Jaquel Morris. Potter has seen some time in the lineup over the past couple of weeks after he appeared in the opener but wasn't 100% against Evansville, and then the team decided to just rest him and let him get healthy. Dean wide open for three on the near side, cashing. Bradley Dean, the pure shooter, UVA-wise transfer, knocks in his first three-point bucket, and it's Miami by 11. Meanwhile, the other way, Mobley with a triple. That falls short. Rebound by Makai Cooper. Thread pass ahead for Bryce Boltman. Down the left side, a tough finish on the left wing. Timeout Wilberforce as Mark Mitchell calls his first of the half, and Miami has opened up this lead to 13 with 13:22 to go in the first half, 17-4. And Zach, now that Miami has gotten adjusted to this pace a little bit, it feels like they're starting to hit that groove. They're scoring a lot more easily with a lot less resistance on the offensive end.
Yeah, absolutely. They're just embracing the pace. Earlier, I think they were fighting it a little bit. They were trying to make this game go to what they usually do, but you just simply can't do that against this squad. This is a Wilberforce team that is going to just swarm you everywhere on the court, whether it's in the back court, the front court. They're going to find a way to be in your face, so you have to pass the ball quick, you have to move quickly, and then you see now they're starting to get open looks that they're cashing in on. Once they've embraced that pace of this game, they've been a lot better for it, and now we see this lead starting to grow.
So Wilberforce with it coming out of the timeout. We'll circle back on that point in just a second, Zach, once we get the chance. Mobley up top for Callie Davis, spins down the lane, tried to throw it up. It was pulled away by Evan Ipsaro, and Bradley Dean comes down with it on the floor. Up ahead for Hunter, transition three, off target. Reese Potter offensive board, and he's fouled. Reese Potter will go to the free throw line to shoot two, a 7'1" freshman out of Northern Kentucky. Out of Lexington, rather, I should say. Not necessarily Northern, but Reese Potter will shoot two. But you talk about that pace, Zach, and you think back to early in the year. It's Potter's first free throw off the heel. Travis Steele thought at times, especially when you think all the way back to the Miami Classic, his team was sometimes being a little bit too choosy with the looks that they were taking. They were seeing open looks in front of them and not taking them, and the possessions were taking a long time. Second free throw by Potter is missed. It's batted up in the air on the rebound. Bryce Boltman grabs it, but he steps out of bounds. But in a way, you know, obviously this pace is a little bit exaggerated, but you do like to see that this team is able to score this quickly.
Absolutely. And what you're talking about, not missing open looks and taking those opportunities. Thinking back to his time at Xavier, that's always been his philosophy. So letting it fly is what they should be trying to do.
Errant pass goes out of bounds for Wilberforce as Josiah Mobley couldn't handle it. Miami will get it back here. 12:51 to go first half. 17-4 is the RedHawk lead. For Wilberforce, that is their 7th turnover. Lead pass up ahead, batted around, and Bryce Boltman tapped it out of bounds. So the inbound is directed right back out, and Miami will cough it up back to the Bulldogs. Up ahead, it's Jameer Himes. Across the M, down center of the floor. Kicks into the corner. Mobley slashing across the paint. Bottom of the MAC logo, pivoting around. Gets it back outside for Pettis. Drives in. Conference logo again. Threads it down low for Davis. Couldn't get a shot away. Got it into the corner. Himes for three. Won't go, but he's fouled. And he will shoot three at the free throw line as Bradley Dean got in his way.
Yeah, you hear about giving them room to land, and that's exactly what Bradley Dean there got into the personal cylinder when he was shooting and altered his ability to land on 2 feet. So now we're going to see 3 free throws, and that's what you don't want to see from this team. You want to make them make shots because they've proven to do it at such a inconsistent rate. You do not want to give them shots at the free throw line.
Himes has hit the first 2. We'll have one more coming up. Sophomore from Beaver Creek, Ohio. Makes the third, a 3-for-3 trip. Only semi-local kid. Everybody's from Southwest/Central Ohio with the exception we already made of Rasad Pettis and a couple guys from Cleveland. Only guy from the Dayton area. Meanwhile, Boltman with a transition 3. That was off the inside of the rim and out. Rebound on the strong side. Essek Bryant racing up the floor. He just stepped out of bounds. And Miami will get it back here.
Yeah, and Luke, I think if you canvass the whole national college landscape for basketball, I think you'd be hard-pressed to find a team that's as well-conditioned as Wilberforce is. They press all game and play at this quick pace. They only have 9 available players for this game.
It's pretty unbelievable. Ipsaro down the left side, gets past everybody and lays it in. Ipsaro has really been coming around offensively for this Miami team. He has shown off a lot of talent as a freshman. Driving into the paint, a wild attempt by Callie Davis is nowhere close. Brian Mabry with a transition look for 3, and he got it. Mabry buries the triple, and just like that, it's a 15-point lead for Miami. 22-7 with 11:44 to go in the first. Cardenas circles down the right lane. Sky hooking shot, got it with the bank. Cardenas gets his first bucket. Wilberforce now with 3 scorers, Davis, Cardenas, and Himes. 6 different, check that, 7 RedHawks have found the score sheet. Miami just holding the ball near half court. We get a foul inside, and guess who? It's Evan Ipsaro, who is definitely the best on this team, and honestly, one of the best I've probably seen this year at drawing fouls away from the ball, whether it be on the offensive end, defensive end. He commands a lot of attention. We'll head to immediate timeout here with 11:23 to go in the opening half. It's Miami 22 and Wilberforce 9 here from Millett Hall. We're back after this. Stay tuned. You're listening to Miami Basketball on RedHawk Radio. 11:23 to go first half. Luke Poley and Zach Rengers with you. Happy New Year. Happy holidays to you. Miami leading 22-9 with the RedHawks having possession on the offensive end coming out of the timeout. It's Evan Ipsaro inbounding for the RedHawks. Overhead pass outside for Darwishi Hunter. Pumps the three. Now heads down the right lane. Smooth finish at the rim, and he gets fouled. Hunter seemed almost unaffected by that foul there. Just kind of was hand fighting down low. Meanwhile, the other hand was up in the air laying it off the glass. That put Miami in the bonus. That's the 17th foul on Wilberforce. And Darwishi Hunter will try to complete the three-point play with Miami already up 15 with 11:20 to go in the first.
Yeah, and fouls can become a serious issue for Wilberforce. We talked about how they only have 9 players available in the game, and they've already got 2 of them with 2 fouls early in this first half.
Bounce down low. Wilberforce has circled the offensive end. Left wing three put up by Cardenas. He missed it left. Rebound by Ian Elmer for the RedHawks. Elmer, pass up the floor for Darwishi Hunter. Takes it to the cup himself. Wild shot won't go. Gets his own rebound. It's back outside for the RedHawks. Straight away, Elmer in for Marambo. Batted it around. Somehow kept control of it as Josiah Mobley was blanketing him, but the RedHawks don't turn it over. Now Evan Ipsaro calls for a screen up top, doesn't get it. Instead, he'll just head to the basket, get fouled, and collect the and one. I mean, this does not look close right now, Zach, and we knew to a degree that was going to be true, but these last few possessions have been pretty remarkable for Miami offensively. Evan Ipsaro trying to complete the three-point play, and he does.
Yeah, and it's just the physicality. There's just a difference in terms of the Division I players going against NAIA. That's just a pretty tough mountain to get over for these teams.
Cardenas thought about the James Harden step back. Instead, he keeps hold of it. Meanwhile, a foul away from the ball. This time, Anderson Marambo with the draw. And that's the 9th team foul on the Bulldogs with still 10:27 to go in the first half. And this has got to be fixed somewhat right now with only 9 players on this roster. No look pass down low by Ipsaro. Marambo can't finish, though. Ipsaro went over to the Wilberforce bench to try and collect it. It went out of bounds, and after deliberation, it will be Wilberforce basketball.
Yeah, and you just see it right there, Luke. Marambo isn't even really trying to fight for the rebound. He's just tapping it out. It's like watching when the 8th graders play the 6th graders in basketball. There's just not anyone that can match up with the big men of Miami.
Callie Davis down the right side, and he finishes with the right hand. Wilberforce's first bucket in a little while as it's back down to a 17-point game. We crossed the halfway mark of the opening frame. 28-11, the Miami lead. Marambo over for Darwishi Hunter. He pulls up from the right side, and it's off the back iron. Rebound by Wilberforce's Kyle Cardenas. Up ahead on the far side, Mobley drives in. Far elbow jumpers off target. Rebound pulled down by 2 RedHawks. Ian Elmer ends up with it ahead for Evan Ipsaro. Ipsaro across the timeline on the left wing, spins by the defender, gets wide open to the basket, and has the lay for 2.
That was ridiculous, Luke. The craftiness up at the top and then finishing like he's just shooting in layup lines. This kid is going to be special.
Contested 3 taken, and it rattles home for Essick Bryant. Ref signals for a 2. Must have had his toe on the line there, and so that will make it a 17-point lead for the RedHawks, 30-13 with 9 minutes to go here in the first. And Evan Ipsaro with 7 points for Miami to lead all scorers in the game. He rainbows a pass in for Marambo, just goes over everyone and scores. I mean, Marambo had 2 guys in his face there and just jumped above them and put it in. Miami back up 19 to the near side. Mobley slashing the paint, tries to lay it by Marambo and does. Miami struggled to get it in for a second, but Hunter finds Evan Ipsaro. He'll loft a pass forward for Ryan Mabry. No look for Hunter. Bounce down low. Marambo just bullies his way through Cardenas and scores in his face.
Cardenas couldn't afford the foul. Just had to let him score.
Davis into the paint. Got over top the defender and rattled one home. 34-17, the Miami lead with 8 minutes to go in the first. Mabry ahead into the corner. Ian Elmer got turned around a little bit, still found a way to score with the almost reverse type as he banked it off the glass. Himes, shimmy shake, pulled up from just inside the free throw line, elected not to shoot, passed into the corner. Miami heads turning around. No one saw Essick Bryant, but he airballs the corner three. Ian Elmer, he tries the shimmy and the spin. He gets tied up, trying to pull that ball away. It got whacked off his hands by Essick Bryant, who gets the steal. Callie Davis now to the basket, lofts one up, and he gets fouled. And we'll go to the free throw line with 7:24 to go here in the opening half. And his team down 19. Very, very, very up-tempo here at Millett Hall. Back and forth. Miami, though, has had the better of Wilberforce so far. They lead it by a count of 36-17. We're back after this to Millett Hall in Oxford. Stay tuned. You're listening to Miami Basketball on Red Hawk Radio. (36-17), the Miami lead with 7:24 to go here in the first half. Luke West, Poley, and Zach Rengers with you. Hope everyone had a happy holiday season. New Year's coming up. 2024 is right around the corner, and Miami will begin 2024 on Tuesday here at Millett Hall. First free throw coming out of the timeout drops in for Callie Davis. Wilberforce now 4 for 4 from the line. Miami will host the Broncos of Western Michigan. And MAC play going to be very interesting, Zach, because it sort of feels wide open as the second free throw is made by Davis to make it a 17-point game. Miami projected 6th in the preseason poll, tied with Bowling Green. Kai Cooper on the near side for the RedHawks. Back up top for Bradley Dean, who directs traffic inside. Dean off the screen set by Morris, heads directly down the center of the paint. Had the jelly lay, but he laid it short. Back outside, Mabry for three, off the mark, and the rebound batted, loose on the floor, and it's picked up by Wilberforce. Jameer Himes leads Kyle Cardenas ahead. He'll just hand off for Davis, who pulls up for three, and he missed that one from way downtown. Rebound by Mabry for the RedHawks. Makai Cooper on the left wing, scoops out for Bryce Boltman, no-look feed inside. Jaquel Morris tried the dunk, but it was pried away by Callie Davis for Wilberforce. 6:36 to go first half, Miami by 17. Kyle Cardenas got doubled, got it to the far side, and the pass in looking for Jermaine Marshall. Missed him, and it's out of bounds. It will stay with Wilberforce here. Miami bench certainly didn't agree.
Yeah, it didn't look like, I think it was Mabry flying by. He didn't touch it, but I think that's how it looked to the official.
So 18 left on the shot clock here for Wilberforce. They're just going to give away the possession. That was the inbound. Missed Jermaine Marshall. He cut one way, and the pass went the other way, and it rolls out near the scorer's table. Miami catches a break there, and we'll have it back with 6:28 to go in the first, leading by 17. Jackson Katecki is checked into the game for Miami. Katecki played in every game the beginning part of the season, then didn't play against Wright State. That was the first game he didn't play all year. Boltman over for Cooper now in the corner. Katecki for three, you bet. Remember back to when he was perfect in the opener against Evansville. Katecki was red hot shooting to start the year, and he knocks down the tray. Foul is called as Jameer Himes got tripped up around half court. It's on Jaquel Morris. That's his first and the team's fifth foul. And it will be an inbound for the Bulldogs with 24 left on the shot clock, coming from the far side in front of the Miami bench. Himes slows it up top. Now this is Davis, left side of the key. Circles to the right, down the lane with the lay, and it clatters in. After a couple of bounces on the rim, that gets it to a 39-21 game. It's back within 20 points. Bryce Boltman dribbles behind the back. Mobley prying at him. Pass comes to the near side for Bradley Dean. Dribbling with the left hand. Dean double covered, gets it to the near wing for Cooper, and now Boltman into the paint. Morris tried to find Katecki on the back door, but it went between the wickets and out of bounds. Back to the Bulldogs it'll go as Reese Potter will come back in for Miami to replace Jaquel Morris.
Yeah, and Reese Potter, look for him to get some big minutes. I'm surprised they took him out as quick as they did because his size is just something that can't really be contended with. Obviously, the physicality maybe isn't there yet as just a freshman on the floor, but you'd like to see him, see what he can't do on the offensive end.
Three from up top comes in and out from Cardenas. Rebound by Makai Cooper, who races forward for Miami all the way to the basket, and he lays it in with the right hand. Back to a 20-point game. Quickly the other way. It's kicked out. Transition three by Mobley. He got it. First three-point make for Wilberforce after an 0-for-8 start. And once again, it's within 20 points. 41-24, Miami leads with 4:53 to go in the first. Bradley Dean running the point for Miami. Over to the right elbow extended for Reese Potter. Hands back to Dean, right side of the key, between the legs on the dribble. Lost it, regathers, heads to the left elbow. Hands back to Makai Cooper. Now again for Dean in the corner. Chucks up an awkward three, nothing but net though. And the lead re-extends to 20 as Bradley Dean hits his second triple. Near wing, Mobley jabs, slashes, cross the paint, skies it up, and got the roll. And this game, as it has in spurts throughout this first half, is seeing buckets on buckets on buckets for both teams.
Yeah, not much defensive resistance right now. Miami keeps scoring, but they need a stop.
Katecki open from the right side, a little off balance, but got it anyway from 5 feet. And Miami up 46-26 with now under 4 to play in the first half. Davis got fouled by Cooper, who was guarding him. And that will send us to immediate timeout. Miami on top by 20 here with 3:53 to go in the opening half. And the scoring trends say we might see double digits for the RedHawks coming up later on in this one. So with under 4 minutes to play, we're back to Millett Hall after this as get set to close out our first half. You're listening to Miami Basketball on Red Hawk Radio.
If you love me a little bit more, I can give you everything.
3:53 to go first half here from Millett Hall. A couple days short of New Year's Eve here in Oxford. Miami leads Wilberforce 46-26 in the final non-conference home game of the season. Final non-conference game before conference play starts. Miami will have a rare non-conference game that breaks up the conference slate coming up in a couple of months, as RedHawks will play in the MAC Sun Belt Challenge against an opponent yet to be determined. But it will be MAC play for the time being for Miami following tonight. Out of the timeout, Rasad Pettis with the jab step up top for Mobley. Drove down the right lane. Now it's back for Cardenas. He'll drive the right side and lay it high and off the mark. Rebound by Jackson Katecki for Miami. Evan Ipsaro down the left wing, crosses the timeline, dribbling behind the back. Ipsaro with game-high 7 points for the RedHawks. Davis leading all scorers in the game with 10 for Wilberforce. Ipsaro thought about the three. Now he accelerates to the basket, and he shimmies to the hoop to score at the right hand. 48-26, the Miami lead with 3:08 to go in the first. Himes gets to the baseline, now flings it near wing for Cardenas. He's bracketed by Ian Elmer and Bradley Dean down the right side. Flies it up with the right hand, and it drops home. Cardenas with just his second basket made from the field. Let's get a stoppage as the basketball rolled into the courtside lounge seats that are inset into the baselines here at Millett Hall. 2:51 to go here in the opening half, and it's Miami by 20. Bradley Dean with a forward pass for Ipsaro. No look shovel down low for Reese Potter. He gets fouled on the floor. Nice sky shot over the top that rolled in, but it won't count, as the foul is on Rasad Pettis for Wilberforce. He gets his first and the 10th team foul. Wilberforce did well to limit the fouling after they had 9 with about 10.5 to play. They haven't fouled in about 8 minutes. Now Reese Potter will shoot 2. He's got very awkward free throw shooting for him, but he hits the first free throw. He's 7'1", so for what it's worth, maybe he's just trying to pull himself further away from the basket as his stance is very wide. He hits the second free throw without any problems. Missed the first 2 he took, so now he's 2 for 4 on the game. Miami leading by 22, and they've hit the 50-point mark. Contested 3 put up early on in the possession by Cardenas, and it's off the front of the rim. Rebound by Miami. Evan Ipsaro up ahead for the RedHawks. The freshman, Jukes, pulls back. Now looking for an option. He finds it by way of Bradley Dean up top. Step back tray off the heel. And a long rebound picked off the floor by Callie Davis for Wilberforce. Stutter step, shovels it out for Hines. He drives, loses it, gets it off the floor. Goes back out for Cardenas. Off balance pass outside. Now a contested triple taken and connected by Rasad Pettis. 50-31 now our score. Ian Elmer was really struggling to inbound the basketball there, but Miami gets a bailout foul as Callie Davis is called for his 3rd of the half. And that will send Miami walking the other way to the other end of the floor and send Evan Ipsaro, the Cubcat school record holder in free throw percentage, to shoot 2, was over 90% in high school. Spins the first one, and it knocks out. No good.
You could see almost the pause in his head.
Yeah.
He was even surprised that one missed.
Looked pretty good and had the backspin, had the trajectory, but hit off the back of the rim, the front of the rim, and bounced out. Second one up and in for Ipsaro. And it's back to a 20-point game with 1:54 to go in the first. Mobley up ahead. Now he backs out and again will accelerate inside. He gets fouled and then somersaults down to the baseline. And that is Miami's 7th foul. It's on Ian Elmer, so that will send Wilberforce to the free throw line. Josiah Mobley, 6'1" junior out of Columbus, Ohio, Reynoldsburg High School. Mobley will shoot the 1-and-1. Right-handed shot falls. (51-32) with 1:49 remaining in the opening half. Ryan Mabry coming in for Miami. He will replace Jackson Kiteki. Mobley, second free throw. Short. 3 RedHawks in the area. Ian Elmer, the one that gets the board. Bradley Dean across the timeline, over for Ipsaro on the left wing. Bullet inside for Reese Potter. He got fouled as Essex Bryant gave him a whack, and Reese Potter to the free throw line once again for attempts number 5 and 6 as Essex Bryant gets his second.
Yeah, and it's almost hard not to try to send it into Potter with the mismatch, because you're pretty much dead to rights at that point with this Wilberforce team, as you either decide to commit a foul against Potter and test his hand at the free throw line, or you just give up an easy basket where he essentially just shoots over you.
Potter hits the first free throw, and the second one made as well. Feels a little bit like when Imani Bates played here last year and he would just shoot it over everybody, except instead of from the exterior, it's from the interior for Reese Potter. 53-32, the RedHawks in front with 1:30 to play in the opening half. Cardenas dribbling with the right hand, heads down the lane, throws it up, got around the swat by Elmer, but missed it off the backboard. Offensive rebound way outside, but Pettis can't finish on the lay, and we get a foul call on the Bulldogs, and Reese Potter holding on to the basketball. Foul is on Bryant, who gets his third, and once again, Potter will go to the free throw line. 1:18 remaining here in the first half, and the RedHawks leading it by 21. Reese Potter will shoot 2 free throws. Drops home on the first. All of Potter's now 5 points have come from the free throw line. Second one connected with as well. In fact, he does not have a field goal attempt. 6 points, no field goal attempts for Reese Potter, and it's Miami by 23. Down the right lane, and Heim slipped and fell. That's a travel. His feet just came out from under him there, and the RedHawks will get it back here as Wilberforce commits their 11th turnover of the half. 55-32, the RedHawk lead with 1:10 remaining in half number 1.
Yeah, you can see just the tired looks from this Wilberforce team, just kind of limping to halftime, and hard not to, only seeing 8 players in this game with a full court press the whole game long.
Ipsaro across the timeline on the left wing. Up for Ryan Mabry, and now Bradley Dean open for 3. He takes, does not hit. Reese Potter with the offensive rebound, back out for Mabry. Steps in, takes the long 2, and he buries it. Ryan Mabry extends the Miami lead to 25. Long pass forward for Pettis, makes his way into the paint, try to shovel pass. It's tipped out of bounds by Miami, and it will stay with the Bulldogs. 46.7 seconds remaining in the half, and 24 seconds left on the shot clock. Ryan Mabry set himself a sneaky nice half, 8 points for the sophomore. Bounced in from the offensive baseline for Josiah Mobley, makes his way to the MAC logo, bullets it back out to Steele, got it in the chest, drives in, tried to throw it up off Potter, wouldn't go, out physicals Potter for the offensive board, skies up the second shot, that wouldn't go for him, and the rebound is pulled out for Miami by Bradley Dean. Trying to get it away from the defender, Preston Steele going at him. Dean all the way to the cup, lays it short, and the rebound picked up by Kyle Cardenas for Wilberforce. Cardenas dribbling with the left hand. Shot clock is dark. He takes a contested 3. It's off the front of the rim. 2 RedHawks converge on the ball. Elmer out with it. Up for Ryan Mabry with 8 seconds to go. 6 seconds. Travis Steele signaling to go. Miami's not going to take their timeout. Mabry at the buzzer. It's off the mark. Ipsaro flying in for the rebound. He doesn't get it. And time expires on our first half. So 20 minutes gone by, and the men in red and white leading by 25 at the halftime break. And Zach, about what we expected. Wilberforce pressed the basketball very hard. It took Miami a few minutes to get adjusted after that first TV timeout. They got their legs under them a little bit. End up with over 50 points at the halftime break against a team that routinely gives up 100 in games that feature a lot of possessions. Pretty prototypical first half for Miami playing against this type of opponent.
Absolutely, and they finally, you mentioned it, it took them till about that first media timeout for them to get comfortable with this new playing style, going against Wilberforce that obviously loves to press the whole game. They like quick possessions. They like to keep everything moving on the offensive and defensive ends. They finally got comfortable with that play style. They started hitting shots at a more consistent rate. And after we saw that, we see the scoring has come with it. 57 points in just a half of basketball. They've rotated in a bunch of guys. Pretty much the whole roster has played in this game. They're going to look to continue this pace and continue their shooting on the other side of the court for the next half.
Evan Absara leading Miami scorers with 10. Callie Davis leading Wilberforce scorers with 10 as well. And at halftime here from Millett Hall, our score is Miami 57 and Wilberforce 32. We'll take a break here from Millett Hall, and we'll be back with the second half of play between Miami and Wilberforce. Stay tuned. You're listening to Miami Basketball on Red Hawk Radio. We're back for more on the other side of the break. West Poley, Zach Rengers back with you at halftime. About to begin half number 2 here between Miami and Wilberforce, and the RedHawks with a healthy 57-32 lead over their local NAIA foe from an hour and 15 minutes or so up the road in Wilberforce, Ohio, in the greater Dayton area near Xenia. Wilberforce has made the trip down here to Oxford, play their second Division I opponent here this season. Final Division I opponent they'll have to play this year. Got some very interesting opponents later on this season. They play Cedarville, who's obviously a very local team to them. And my favorite is Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Not the college, not Wright State, but the Air Force Base. Shout out to the men and women of Wright-Pat, whose basketball team will be playing Wilberforce later this year. My dad was stationed there back in the 1990s. He said, I asked him about that earlier today. I said, are your sports teams good? And he said, yes, but he does not think they will beat a scholarship college team, which is what Wilberforce is. So
I might have to tune in.
Yeah, I'll have to check in on that later down the road. It's coming up in a couple of months. Miami will begin MAC play coming up here on Tuesday against Western Michigan. That's an interesting matchup. Miami will likely be favored pretty heavily in that game. But, of course, with conference play starting, you kind of throw all that out the window. When both Miami picked 6th in the MAC, be interested to see. Miami has never missed the MAC tournament. Used to be that everybody made it, then they changed it so it was top 8. Last year, Miami snuck in on the final day, and the RedHawks have never missed the MAC tournament. And, of course, they were picked to finish tied for 6th. Well, Morgan Safford was still with the program, who was projected to be an impact player, but we'll see what happens. Miami has stolen it coming out of the halftime break. Evan Ipsara runs the floor, misses the layup, and Makai Cooper fouled on the putback 15 seconds in. And Cooper will go to the line. But very interested, this Miami team, as they did last year, has made a lot of strides in non-conference play. They've gotten more results in non-conference play this year than they did last year. They have impressive wins over Marshall and Vermont on their resume. But
I will say just eye test too, Luke. You look at this team, I think the starting 5 is a lot stronger this year, as well as the depth. So you kind of make 2 big improvements there, and I don't think it's particularly close in either of those. I think the depth is significantly better, and the starting 5 is at least a hair better than last year's starting 5 was.
Cooper made the front end, missed the back end. Miami got the offensive rebound. Ipsaro nearly gave it away. Ball on the floor, and a foul on Jaquel Morris, who just kind of gives a shrug to Ipsaro as he tried to go down on the floor to get that ball. 25 seconds in. It's been a choppy start to this second half, and Miami leads Wilberforce by 26.
One thing to look out for in conference play, though, Luke, going back to that conversation, is number 2. How's that play going to translate for Evan Ipsaro? Obviously, he's been brilliant, especially as a true freshman starting off this season, but how is that going to translate to a MAC schedule that's obviously going to be played a lot tighter than some of these non-conference games?
Callie Davis swings it back outside for Wilberforce. Mobley making his way in. He loses the ball. It's loose, and a tie-up possession arrow with Miami. They'll get it back here 44 seconds in. Yeah, it's interesting because on one hand, he's found himself in foul trouble at times in this game, and of course, inexperienced players sometimes tend to struggle in conference play, but Evan Ipsara almost seems like a guy that's made for conference play, especially in a conference like the MAC. He's very gritty, very tough. Seems like that's kind of his game. Pass gets down low for Bryce Boltman. He's open to put it off the glass and in for 2, and Miami now leads by 28, 60-32, a minute into the second half. Crossover dribble for Callie Davis gets him nowhere. Ball still outside, this time with Preston Steele on the right wing. Now it's Davis from straight away. Stutters, heads to the basket down the right side. Puts one off the bottom of the backboard. Rebound pulled down by Jaquel Morris for Miami. Evan Ipsaro's got all the way in for him, and he lays it in. Ipsaro's not huge at just 6 foot, but that's about as close to a dunk as he could get. He got up there, and nobody touched him from the defensive three-point line all the way to the other basket. Miami in front by 30. Steele down the left side. He gets fouled.
And that's a smart scouting report coming out of the break to go right at him, because a lot of these guys on this Wilberforce team either have 2 or 3 fouls, and those fouls really started to rack up for Wilberforce in that first half. And with a team that, correction, we said 9 earlier. It's actually only 8 available players for tonight's game. That's exactly what you want to do because you're not going to get too much resistance on some of those drives straight to the rack off a fast break.
First free throw is made by Steele. 3 players playing with 3 fouls right now for Wilberforce. Cardenas, Bryant, and Davis. Second free throw put up and in. Make it a 62-34 Miami lead, a minute and a half in. But, I mean, we just started this second half. There's a lot of time to pick up 2 more fouls. As Makai Cooper going right to the basket. He missed with some contact, gets his own rebound, plucks it outside. Ipsara with a touch play down low with Marambo, and Boltman finishes it. Wow. That went between 3 hands very quickly and was in the bucket. And now we get a foul call and maybe a technical, and yeah, that is indeed the case, as the foul was just a reach-in.
Looked like Ipsara got frustrated with himself about the foul call, and not sure if his intent was to actually kick the ball across the floor, but that was the result of it. So that'll be a technical foul. But going back to that beautiful play between both Ipsara and Marambo, 2 back-to-back no-look passes. Ipsara found Marambo, and Marambo's mind was made up that he was dumping it off right away. No-look pass, and we shouldn't really be surprising to any of the listeners at home. Marambo's a guy, he's a big fella, but he's got good court vision. We knew that last year. He had quite a few assists in last year's campaign, and it's a guy that can really stretch the floor down low.
Travis Steele said in the Vermont postgame press conference, Marambo is oftentimes a guy that would rather pass than score. Step back attempt. Wilberforce made 1 of the 2 free throws, I should say. We get a foul on the far side now as Davis was there. And he's from the Dominican Republic, which is a pretty good volleyball country if you happen to follow that. It looked like a volleyball set, that pass he had down low. It wasn't as much of a catch and shoot as much as if you've seen a set in volleyball, how he just took both hands to the ball and directed it from one direction to another right into Bryce Boltman's hands, who was right on the doorstep for the basket. Wilberforce will inbound here with 20 seconds on the shot clock, 17:55 to go, and what has been a very slow-moving first few minutes of this second half, with Miami leading by 29.
Jermaine Marshall stretching it out on the sideline here. Looks like he's a little shaken up after that play.
Quick catch under the basket for Cardenas. He rises up and scores from 2 feet out. And it's a 64-37 Miami lead now with 17:45 to go. And the press intensifies for Wilberforce and now pulls back. Ryan Mabry dribbling between the legs, crosses the timeline down the middle. Ian Elmer waiting in the wings to come on as a sub. Anderson Marambo from just inside the arc, left of the key. Left elbow extended, hands to Mabry, pulls up just inside the free throw line, clattering on the rim, and it drops home. Ryan Mabry into double figures with 10, second on the team, trailing only Evan Ipsara with 12. And the RedHawks back in front by 29 with 17:13 to go in the half. Driving inside, Mobley spins around with the shot, and he got it to go with the roll. It swirls home to get it back down to 27. Cooper, coast to coast, hands for Marambo under the basket, gets fouled. And the shot fell short. He'll go to the free throw line to shoot 2. The foul on Essick Bryant for Wilberforce, and he is the first player of the game to pick up foul number 4 with still 17 minutes and change to go in this second half. Marambo's first free throw flies up and rolls off the right side of the rim, no good. Ian Elmer into the game for Miami to replace Bryce Boltman. Boltman will get some coaching from Travis Steele. He's a guy that Miami will likely look a lot to in conference play as Marambo hits the second free throw, and we get a whistle and a sub for Wilberforce as Preston Steele comes on. Boltman struggled to score the basketball at times this season. He's a guy that's got plenty of experience, grad transfer from McKendree at the Division II level, took them to their first NCAA tournament in program history. He's played a lot of college basketball, not at this level, but he's won a lot, and that's what Miami's brought him in for. He's a captain of this team in his first year with the program. But Miami hoping that the offense will pick up for him as he now has had half a year to get used to this level. Step back free throw line jumper from Himes, and he knocks it down. 67-41, the Miami lead with 16:40 to go in regulation. Cooper trapped, threads it forward for Darwishi Hunter across the timeline. Now Mabry open for three from the far side, rattles in and out. Elmer with the physicality on the offensive glass, gets it back and puts it back in for two. Davis from straight away, steps back, fires the three, in and out. Offensive rebound, Preston Steele for Wilberforce. He'll push it back outside. 69-41, Miami leads with 16:12 to go in the game. Step back three by Cardenas, that's off the front of the rim. And Makai Cooper grabs the rebound in the corner, across the timeline on the right wing. Cooper had it plucked away from behind. And Callie Davis runs all the way into the stands, trying to save that from going out of bounds, but he can't. He ran all the way into the corner of the Millett Hall stands, which if you know how Millett Hall is structured, that's pretty hard to do. You've got to run across a few lanes of indoor track before you get there. It'll stay with Miami here, 5 seconds gone on the shot clock, 16:01 to go in the half, and Miami up 28. Mentioned it off the rip as now an inbound comes to Bradley Dean from straight away, and he hits the tray. So Dean has another three-point bucket. That's now his third as Miami leads 72-41. Very good crowd for this time of year on break. Lower bowl is pretty full in the middle sections. Down low, a swat job for the RedHawks, and it's taken away. Elmer Euros through the paint. He scores over the top. Makai Cooper gets credit for the block, by the way, on that last possession. There were a swarm of RedHawks in the area. Now Pettis, he puts one up. That clatters off. Lead pass ahead for Ian Elmer from the fast break. He lost control. He was looking for the highlight dunk. Cardenas will grab it and take it the opposite direction. Pull up three from Pettis, and he hits. It's back down to a 30-point game following the Pettis make. Ian Elmer was trying to get that slam, and Wilberforce makes him pay. Now a pass the other way is out of the reach of Ryan Mabry. Taken by the force. Himes running into the elbow with a jumper, but it's off the heel. Mabry with the rebound for Miami. He's trapped into the corner, and he's forced to call a timeout. Travis Steele looks disgusted on the Miami bench, and in all likelihood, his team will get an earful during this timeout. And that is Miami's first timeout they've called of the game, but they did not call that timeout. They lose in the first half, so they lost that at the break. They've got two left with 14:46 to go in the game. So 74-44 the score for Miami. As we get the chance, we can take a look at upcoming schedule here for the RedHawks, who will likely end up 500 when things are all said and done in non-conference play. And Zach, I mean, I know it includes a couple of non-Division I wins. You beat Spalding, and you know, in all likelihood, you will beat Wilberforce here tonight. But 6-6, not bad. When you look at who Miami put on this schedule, it was an absolutely brutal stretch following the Miami Classic that included the likes of St. Bonaventure, Marshall, Ohio State, Davidson, Wright State, Vermont, all right in a row in the tail end of November into December. Those are all teams that are going to be competitive in their respective conferences, and Miami learned some lessons the hard way. They learned some lessons the more fun way. Got big wins on the road against Marshall, win at home here against Vermont in a buzzer beater, but you know, they got it handed to them a couple of times against Davidson and against St. Bonaventure, two of the more experienced teams in the entire nation. So that St. Bonaventure team is the oldest team in the country. And overall, you come out 500, you come out a better team. We talked about the eye test already, Zach. I think you feel good going into conference play right now if you're Miami.
Absolutely, and you got to recognize too is that you are playing mid-major basketball, so it's a little bit different than when you talk about some of the Dukes, the Kentuckys of the world, where you're just trying to get top 25 opponents. This schedule is very, very tough for a mid-major squad, and this is going to test you against similar opponents to what you're going to see in MAC play. I'd say that Miami, if you look across the nation, has played the most similar non-conference to conference play. If you look at the similarities between the styles of basketball of the teams they've played and some of the challenges they've given themselves, that will replicate to a pretty solid extent what you're going to see in the MAC, and that's going to prepare them very well for a conference that they feel like they can make some noise in this year.
Got to talk to Miami assistant coach Jonathan Holmes before the season started, and he was one of the architects of this schedule, and yeah, it was just that sentiment. The main focus for the coaching staff is that they want to become a team like Vermont that we highlighted during that game. Nobody wants to play them. They really struggle to fill their schedule. So we get a foul before the inbound comes in. I mean, they really struggle to get games on their schedule just because they're so good, and no one wants to play them because, especially at the mid-major level, you put Vermont on the schedule, and it's almost a guaranteed loss to some extent or another. Now, following the timeout, the ball doesn't even get put in play. They go to immediate timeout. We'll stay here for it. But, you know, in order to beat those teams, you have to play those teams when you're going through this growing pains process. And, again, like we've already said, some of those games have taught Miami some difficult lessons, but that Vermont game was a huge step in the right direction for the RedHawks. And even looking at a game earlier on before a couple of tough losses against Davidson and Ohio State, they went on the road and beat Marshall by 5. That was a Marshall team that came into Millett Hall last year, and they crushed the RedHawks last season. And so not only for Miami to be able to go and win against Marshall, but to do it on the road this year is another huge step for this Miami team. And like you said, it's very, very comparable to what they're going to see in MAC play. They're Vermonts, the Davidsons, the Marshalls of the world. Those are the Toledos, the Kent States, the Akrons, those teams at the top end of the conference that you're trying to beat to make noise at the end of the season.
I think they've expedited the process as well, Luke. I think if you talked about where this program was left prior to Travis Steele coming here and where it has gotten just in the short time that he's been there, I think you can definitely point to some things that show that this is a team that's ahead of schedule, so to speak. This is a team that's getting higher recruits. They're building a culture here, and they're already getting competitive in the MAC. I mean, we talked about how they just barely snuck into the tournament. I think if you talked to us after that initial Evansville loss to begin the year, all the way back last year at the beginning of the year, we would have told you there's no shot they even have any chance of sniffing that tournament, let alone getting into it. Even though they didn't have the results in that tournament they wanted, they still snuck into that tournament. And I think that they are building something here, and to potentially down the line in just a few short years, maybe getting that bid from the MAC to go to the big dance and play in the NCAA tournament.
You look at where this program was in past couple of coaching staffs. Of course, Charlie Coles, who was a legend here, brought Miami to some very strong years in the 90s and early 2000s, and then they went through a couple of coaching changes. And past couple of coaching staffs, they were kind of stuck in, you know, the college basketball purgatory. They were never bad. I mean, they were a 500 team around pretty much every year in conference play, but they were never really good either, and that kind of presents its own challenges when you're trying to build culture and try to start winning, and to do it as quickly as Travis Steele has is quite impressive. RedHawks quickly move it up the floor, and Maramba with a wide open look down low. He will lay it in with the right hand, and Miami leads 76-44 now with 14 and a half to play. Himes down the left lane, little push off on Ipsara, might have got away with, but got the separation, couldn't finish though, and Marambo gets the rebound at the free throw line. Now it's Ipsaro down the right wing. Up top for Marambo. Marambo shoulders his way down the left lane. He got rejected by Preston Steele. And it's picked up by Himes for the Bulldogs. Steele the other direction, lays it short. Rebound by Ian Elmer for Miami. And a foul up top as Evan Ipsaro holding on to it. Fourth foul now on Kyle Cardenas. Wilberforce 1 for their last 8 from the field, and now 2 players with 4 fouls, Cardenas and Bryant, who have been 2 impactful players in this game. Cardenas with 6 points. Mabry will fly it back in for Miami. Elmer with just a right-handed pass ahead that Ryan Mabry will secure and back out to the near wing. Mabry with 13 to shoot, 13:45 on the game clock. Calls a play from up top and gets to the logo. 7 left on the shot clock. Reese Potter from the right angle extended over to Elmer on the near wing. 2 seconds and 1. Elmer pulls it back from deep. It's a shot clock violation as he airballed it way long. Second time, a little James Harden-esque, but he pushed it way beyond the basket there. And a rare long possession in this game. We haven't seen the shot clock trickle down too much for either team. Miami commits the violation, and Wilberforce is back to the offensive end. Callie Davis leading scorer for the Force in this game with 11. Over to the flank, Marshall backing into the paint. He's bracketed down low, tried to put something up, but there was no room to work. It's blocked out of bounds by Reese Potter for Miami.
And you see the height just helping out Reese Potter there. He honestly got beat with the footwork, but he's so tall that he's able to make up with it once you get to the top of his wingspan. It's about 8'10" by the time you get to the shot hits his hand. So he's got a lot of time to make up for potential missteps on the baseline.
Back in, it's Marshall again. This time he gets down low, and it's an offensive foul. Looks like he might have gotten an and one, but it'll be a foul on Marshall. Interesting there. There was a little bit of contact, but not a ton. And Wilberforce doesn't like the call. But yeah, it's interesting, back to your point earlier on about Reese Potter. He can almost just reach over someone and encompass them with his arms, and nobody really has an answer for that. Down low, Darwishi Hunter got fouled trying to just shoot one from the edge of the paint. He'll go to the free throw line.
And that's another foul on Marshall. He's got 3 now, so 2 players with 3, 2 players with 4 for this Wilberforce team. They are struggling in terms of not fouling in this game.
Hunter puts it in. Miami had not scored in nearly 2 minutes, which was a rarity in this game, and he breaks that streak. Wilberforce has not scored in over 2 minutes. They're 1 for their last 9 from the field.
And that's the one thing you have to worry about in these games, Luke, where they get really out of hand. You're up 30. You've been up 30 for quite a while. You have to find a way to keep the players on the floor still engaged and not let this thing slip and bad habits form.
Missed free throw leads to a three-pointer after an offensive board by Hunter. He missed it. Boltman now in the near corner. Back over for Hunter. Another try from deep. He won't miss twice. Darwishi Hunter up to 9 points, and Miami leads 80-44 now with 12:35 to go in the second. Down the left lane, Davis leaves for Marshall. Spin around shot off the bottom of the rim. Rebound by Ipsaro. Racing ahead, Ipsaro down low. Moses man down. It's a blocking foul and 1. Counted for Ipsaro. Josiah Mobley called for the foul. He gets his 3rd. He was trying to draw the charge, but Ipsaro was just too quick. And he will go to the free throw line to try and complete the three-point play. Remember, that's a rule change in college basketball this year. It's a little harder to draw charges. So you've got to be set before that first step is taken. Ipsaro hits the free throw, and it's Miami by 39 with 12:18 to go in the second. Cardenas takes the contested triple, missed it left. Rebound, Evan Ipsaro for the RedHawks. Ipsaro will slow the pace with tape on the left wrist. He's dribbling with that hand. Now he switches to the right. With his heels on the M at center court, he feeds Potter, angle extended, gets it back down low, rises above the defender, and got it to go. Evan Ipsaro has had an offensive night to remember. 17 points for the freshman from Crestview Hills, Kentucky. Cardenas to the right elbow, forced back outside by Boltman. 85-44, the RedHawk lead. Davis steps back, long 2, in and out. Potter scoops out the rebound right into the hands of Pettis for Wilberforce. He'll push it back outside. Mobley slithers in, can't finish with the left hand. Hunter gets the rebound ahead for Bryce Boltman, leaves off for Potter open, and he dunks it with 2 hands. Reese Potter rim rock. It's still shaking as they head the other way. Miami leads now by 43. Down to the basket. It's lofted up by Davis over top the basket. Tipped out of bounds on the rebound by Miami. Wilberforce will keep it with 21 on the shot clock, and we've reached a media timeout. Well, the RedHawks have put some serious distance between they and the Wilberforce Bulldogs over the last few minutes as Miami's on a 13-0 run over the last 4, 21-5 run over the last 6. With 11:08 to go in the second half, it's Miami 87 and Wilberforce 44 here from Millett Hall. We're back to Oxford after this. Stay tuned. You're listening to Miami Basketball on Red Hawk Radio. .08 to go in the second half, and it is Miami 87 and Wilberforce 44 here from Millett Hall. Luke Poley, Zach Rengers, thanks so much for tuning in on this Friday night. Last Friday was a thriller. This Friday, Miami has been a little more dominant over Wilberforce as the RedHawks are almost doubling up the Bulldogs. Coming out of the timeout, quick inbound and a trap, but a foul is called on Leave Jackson Kentucky for Miami, and that is who they will get with the foul. He gets his first and the 16th foul for the RedHawks. 11:05 to go, second half. Quick inbound into the corner, and it is caught by Steele. He stepped on the sideline in doing so, and it will be another turnover for the Bulldogs, their 15th of the game. Back to the RedHawks here with a chance to double up Wilberforce. They were up by a little over 20 at the break, but last 5 minutes have really proven a big difference between Miami and Wilberforce. Kentucky down low through the contact. He gets fouled. He nearly got a posterizing dunk on Preston Steele, but he was able to hold his ground just enough to at least keep Kentucky off the rim and foul him. Mark Mitchell screaming from the Wilberforce bench at his defense.
Yeah, there really hasn't been too much resistance in the end of the first half and the beginning of this half. We were talking about it in the break. This is about the closest thing you'll see on the collegiate level to the aforementioned AAU circuit that we've talked about ad nauseum in today's game. It's not exactly what true basketball fans like to watch, but it's kind of what the game has evolved to, and this has been very similar to some of those games that you see in the summer circuits.
Second free throw is made after the first miss by Kentucky. Through the other way, Callie Davis got free to put it in with his right hand. Boltman over for Makai Cooper, 88-46, the Red Hawk lead with 10.5 to play. Kentucky down low, over the top, he gets fouled, tried to dunk it, and Jermaine Marshall, another one that Kiteki was oh so close on. Marshall got just enough hand on basketball and body to keep that out of the bucket and instead send Jackson Kiteki to the free throw line. He wants it, you can tell. Kiteki does a full body worm when he puts up that free throw and it drops in for him. Jaquel Morris back on for Miami to replace Reese Potter. 89-46 is the score with Miami leading. Still 10:28 to go.
Potter played some good minutes today. I'm not sure if he'll come back into this game due to the nature of it, but takes the first seat on the bench, so you'd assume we'll see more of him. But 12 minutes to this point, and they've all been productive for the freshman.
8 points for Reese, off 6 for 8 from the line, and making his only field goal attempt. 90-46 the score with Miami leading. 10:13 to go, second half. Dribbling between the legs. Himes pulls up from just inside the arc and left it short. Rebound by Makai Cooper for the RedHawks. Cooper stops his feet, feeds Jaquel Morris. Turnaround lay. He got it to go with the foul. A lot of three-point plays. Wilberforce has struggled with Miami's size under the basket. Morris is taller than everyone on this team for Wilberforce, and Jaquel Morris will go to the free throw line to try and complete another three-point play for the RedHawks. And with that foul, it's on Jermaine Marshall. He's fouled out of the game. That's his 5th. So Wilberforce is going to bring up Micah Slater to check in. This is his first appearance of the game. Senior from Columbus, Ohio, transferred from Columbus State Junior College. Morris's free throw is pure. 93-46. Miami up 47 points on the Bulldogs of Wilberforce. Davis through the middle, Euros, lays it up and nearly got the roll. Wow, that was a wacky looking shot. His body was positioned parallel to the basket. He kind of threw it over his head there. Nearly got the roll. Instead, he'll just go to the free throw line to shoot a pair of free throws.
And that's the one thing you could point to in this half that's been pretty sloppy for Miami. The defensive end, there hasn't been much resistance, and there's been quite a bit of fouling on the Miami side, and I don't think Travis Steele and company are going to be very happy with that when they go back to the film room, feeling like they could have probably played more sound team defense and avoided some of these trips to the free throw line for Wilberforce.
First free throw is knocked down. Second one on the way for Davis, and he got it as well. 93-48 with 9:53 to go. Yeah, when you put these types of games on the schedules, you often hear coaches talking about they don't want their team to play lazy. You still want to have good habits, even though you might not be punished as hard if you don't commit on them. Boltman driving all the way to the basket, but we get an offensive foul on Jaquel Morris.
So they're getting him on that. You see that play ran on the high school level a lot. It's ran in some form on the college level as well. They do that seal box out before the shot goes up. That's a foul, and it's going to be called a charge on the collegiate level. You see it a lot more. It runs rampant on the high school circuit, but they get the call there. So see Travis Steele telling him, you just have to stand there and stop walking. You can't push him back at all.
Turnover committed by the Bulldogs. Lead pass for Makai Cooper. He goes up high and decides better of the dunk. Instead, he'll lay it in, but he does so to put Miami up to 95 points on the game. 95-48 with 9:15 to play. Down the lane, rejection by Bradley Dean on Rasad Pettis. Boltman to the other end of the floor, trapped in the corner, drives baseline, no look leave. Jaquel Morris rocks the rim. And now we're starting to see the highlight reel come out for Miami. Another takeaway, and here comes Jackson Kiteki. He turns it over, though, trying to feed a pass ahead to Makai Cooper. Davis, hop step into the paint, got it to go with the right hand. 97-50 Miami with 8:40 still to play. Cooper ahead for Dean. Down low, Kiteki got fouled. He got whacked across the arms as that ball popped free. And that, I believe, is Wilberforce's 10th foul, and it is. The foul goes against Preston Steele, who picks up his third. Of the Wilberforce players currently on the floor, 3 of them playing with 3 or more fouls as Katecki misses the first free throw too strong. Ian Elmer back on for Miami. You want to talk highlight reel? He is a human highlight reel. See if he can put some work in over these final 8.5 minutes as Katecki banks the second free throw in off the back of the rim. Miami 98, Wilberforce 50 with 8.5 to play. Himes into the corner for Slater. Slashing across the paint, much undersized with Katecki in his face. Has to feed to Steele in the near corner, and it's pulled back out. Davis, step back, blanketed, airs out a 3, and he missed it short. Rebound by Cooper, behind the back dribble up for Jaquel Morris, and he got it pried away as he went for the dunk, grabbed rim, but didn't bring the ball with him. Slater in the corner, might have got tipped by Morris, he missed badly. And Elmer gets the rebound for Miami. Elmer, around 1, around 2, Elmer forced to stop his feet and kicked outside. Katecki from the near wing, thought about the shot, instead Jaquel Morris left all alone down low, and that's another dunk for number 21 in white. And that's it, that's the 100 for Miami, as it's now 100-50 with 7:35 left to play. A drive down low, and Himes draws the foul. And that will bring us to a media timeout. 7.5 still to play in this one, and it has been Dunk City, are we at Florida Gulf Coast? 100-50 our score with Miami leading Wilberforce. We're back to Millett Hall after this. And you are listening to Miami Basketball on Red Hawk Radio.
Can I give it up a good away? Now I thought about what I want to say, but I never really know where to go. So I chained myself to a friend, cause I know what I love to do. And we will never be alone again, cause it doesn't ever never a day. Can I count on you being a friend? Can I give it up a good away? Now I thought about what I want to say, but I never really know where to go. So I chained myself to a friend, cause I know what I love to do.
.32 remaining, and the RedHawks have hit the century mark here at Millett Hall. 100-50 is our score, with Miami leading Wilberforce. Jameer Himes with some free throws and nothing but net on the first to make it 100-51. This is the first time Miami has scored 100 points since November 13th, 2021. It's the second free throw made by Himes. They scored 104 that night to take down Lamar. That was a Division I opponent that the RedHawks put a hundo on. Checked during the break, and the school record for points for Miami in a game came against Midway in 2017 when the RedHawks scored 123. Down low, Elmer open, and he lays it in for 2.
And we talked about it, Midway, opponent of this Wilberforce team this year. They lost that game 14-93 at Georgetown College.
Jump shot from Himes falls short. Katecki on the rebound for Miami with the RedHawks in front by 50. 102-52. Cooper into the corner for Bradley Dean. 3 in the air. Missed it. Elmer collects the rebound. Potter pulls up from the right elbow. That's too strong, and Miami won't get a second offensive rebound as Preston Steele has it. Himes across for Callie Davis. Into the paint. Davis with a wild look, and he missed it way short. Katecki had it slapped out of his hands, and it will go out of bounds. Last touch by the Bulldogs. Ryan Mabry coming on for Miami to replace Jackson Katecki, I believe, or rather Makai Cooper, who will instead head off. It's interesting, Travis Steele's been pretty open with his bench today of guys he normally uses, guys that he normally saves for later in the first half and kind of gives 5-6 minutes a game. Have played a lot, but he still hasn't played any of his walk-ons yet. Blake Anderson, Hampton Dopperis, and Eli Yofan. Bradley Dean, quick trigger 3, he got it.
And I think there's a method to that madness. I think this is almost a get-right game for a lot of these guys that maybe don't get a bunch of minutes because you want them to be useful down the stretch in MAC play. So you want them to have this to hang their hat on and know that they can go out and be effective in these games.
Up and under lay is too strong from Steele. And Potter gets the rebound for Miami. Yeah, conference play does loom, so the RedHawks do want to get their main guys with some confidence and in the right shape. Potter, left of the key, fakes the overhead pass, instead gives on the far wing for Elmer, back in for Potter, turns, down low from the low block, puts it off the glass and in. You can see Potter just gets frustrated, he's not getting any penetration, he just turns around and fires, and he put it in. As I say that, Miami brought up Eli Yofan, steal by Ian Elmer, look out, there it is, the right hand jam. 109-52 RedHawks with 5:13 remaining. And Ian Elmer with the windmill. Another steal. Elmer's got more space this time. And he goes behind the head. Had a feeling Ian Elmer was going to do something like this late in this game, and he has. Back-to-back dunks. Now an up and under attempt on the other end by Davis, who was trying to work individually. He fell short, but Elmer commits the foul. Ian Elmer was the Hawk Talk guest last night for Miami's weekly radio show. Callie Davis shooting 2 free throws. Very exciting young freshman from Taft High School, state champion last year in Ohio. First free throw put off the heel by Davis. Eli Yofan coming on for Miami now.
Yeah, and Ian Elmer, he's got a lot of the explosivity you want. You see the bounce that he's got in the gym, but it's very clear they're going to try to work on him as a freshman. The defense has kind of been lacking today. Picked up a couple cheap fouls that in MAC play is going to hurt you, but he's been solid today, and you see the highlight reel ability there.
Yofan down the right lane, can't score, but he gets fouled. He was coming downhill and got a pass from the near wing from Ryan Mabry.
And Eli Yofan, he's got quite the journey in college basketball. Obviously, last year, he played significant minutes for this
non-conference,
team.
yeah.
In non-conference play, and then we saw those minutes kind of shrink up, and now they've pretty much shriveled to about nothing this season. So it's a weird situation for Yofan because he knows the court well. He's played a big role for this team, and now he's had to take the traditional walk-on role. But nonetheless, it helps to have that guy in your back pocket that, hey, even if you need him to, he's no stranger to big minutes and big games.
Missed the first free throw, knocks down the second. 4:34 remaining in our second half, and the RedHawks with a comfortable 60-point lead over Wilberforce, 112-52. Himes leaves it off. Some nifty work down low, but Davis ends up back with it outside. He throws up a three, and that one is too strong. Potter with the rebound for Miami, and he'll hand off for Ryan Mabry, who can quarterback this one forward. 4:06 remaining in the game, and the RedHawks leading 112-52. Elmer down the right side, fakes the pump, gives to Yofan. He fakes the three and now tried to thread it in for Potter, but he hit him off the shoe, and Wilberforce will take it away. Davis gets by one and lays it over top of Yofan and gets the fortuitous roll. It'll drop in for him for two. 3:43 remaining in the second, and Miami leading 112-54. And it's looking like Miami's inching closer to falling just short of that school record mark for points scored in a game. Katecki thought about the long three, thinks better of it, will drive, get to the cup, and have the layup as he got by everybody. Miami needs 13 more to tie it. They've got 3 minutes and 19 seconds left to do it. Himes pushes outside, step back by Mobley, long two, he wedgied it. And so it will be a jump and stay with Wilberforce, and that will bring us to the final media timeout of our game. 3:11 to go here in half number two, and Miami leads it 114-54 here from Millett Hall. We're on school record watch. We'll see if Miami can hit it when they come back. They need 13 points over the final three and change. Stay tuned for that. You're listening to Miami Basketball on Red Hawk Radio.
It's a good world. Good world gone bad.
Three nothing in the console.
We got an NBA game for you here at Millett Hall. At least feels like it when you look up at the scoreboard. 114-54, the Miami lead with 3:11 left to play in the game. Miami's current score of 114 ties them for third most in school history in a game. So we get a foul on Ian Elmer for the RedHawks before the inbound comes in. That's Elmer's third. The second most of all time is 119 points. Scored against these Wilberforce Bulldogs back in 2019. The most points ever was 127, scored against Midway, another team out of the NAIA back in 2017. At the line, Callie Davis hits the first free throw.
And I think it's worth noting that at some point, I'm sure in Travis Steele's tenure, he'd like to phase out these NAIA games. I think it's Obviously a great tune-up game opportunity for this team where they stand right now with this program, but I think down the line he'd love to, like you were talking about earlier, Luke, become like a Vermont, become like some of these top mid-major teams that are valuable for high major teams to schedule because it replicates some of the tournament reps you might see later in the year.
Second free throw was made. Blake Anderson into the game for Miami. He steps into the paint, out for Yofan, puts up a three, falls short. Jackson Katecki on the rebound for Miami. 2:45 left to play, 114-56 the score. This one tossed up, Potter trying to go over the top. It got pried away, and he couldn't get the shot. Davis racing the opposite direction, kicks into the corner. Three put up and connected by Josiah Mobley. 114-59 now the score with Miami leading. 2:25 to go in the second half. Anderson nearly lost control on the dribble. Now he has it back. Across the timeline up for Eli Yofan. Two walk-ons connecting. Walk-on out of Pittsburgh. Yofan finds Potter up top, down for Katecki. Couldn't lay it with the left hand, but he is fouled and will go to the free throw line. Miami has gone to the free throw line a lot, and it has not been pretty either, as they're 20 for 31 for a 64.5% mark. Jackson Katecki to shoot two for the RedHawks.
And the one silver lining for Wilberforce, I think you've seen a lot of really good defense out of Preston Steele. Now, granted, that can also be attributed to his lack of fouls. Obviously, a lot of his teammates have not been able to play tight defense because they're trying to avoid fouls, but Steele has really made some nice plays against Miami in the second half.
Both free throws missed by Katecki. Hampton Doperis onto the floor for Miami. 2:05 left to go. Off balance, three taken but buried by Mobley. His body was diagonal with the floor there and still elected to trigger, got it to go. Get a foul before the inbound. We've seen a lot of those today. It's been somewhat physical for this type of game away from the ball. And that will send Blake Anderson the length of the floor to the free throw line. Freshman walk-on from Evansville, Indiana, Evansville Memorial High School. Replacing the Evansville, Indiana presence that left the team last year in Miami all-time great Makai Larry, who was from that city in southwestern Indiana. Anderson misses the first free throw. Second free throw put up, and he missed that one as well. And the RedHawks just not doing themselves any favors. Lead pass up ahead, and Slater lays it in as he was cherry-picking. 114-64 now the score with 1:51 left to play. Yofan carrying the weight for Miami, running the point. Ian Elmer and Jackson Katecki, the two scholarship players on the floor for Miami. Doperis, hands for Anderson. He mishandled the dribble. It's taken away by Slater. Running up ahead, Slater tries the lay over the top of Yofan. He got it to go. Slater with back-to-back buckets for 4 points on the game, and it's 114-66 with 1:20 to go. Yofan up for Ian Elmer. Elmer looking and waiting. Will give off for Doperis straight away. He hands for Katecki down the left lane. Gets free and finally gets that slam. 116-66 with 1:02 to go. Davis with Doperis guarding him. Drives into the paint, kicks out to the far side. Mobley tries another three. That one hit the bottom of the nylon, but did not go in. Rebound by the RedHawks. Shot and game clock separated by 21 seconds. Yofan across for Katecki. Thought about the three, works his way in. Out for Anderson, corner tray. Got it! Blake Anderson with the three ball. And the walk-on puts Miami out with their likely final basket from the near side. Josiah Mobley got lost in the defense. He hits the three. Shot clock is off. And Eli Yofan will dribble this one across half court and take this one to bed. 119-69 will be your final score. Wilberforce going for a steal here. So Miami will have to move the ball around that with still 7 seconds to go. But that will wrap this one up here from Millett Hall. The horn sounds, a crowd ovation, and for Miami, kind of what they wanted to do here in this game as they put up 119 points on Wilberforce. That ties the second most in a game in school history, tied with a performance against the same squad from 4 years ago back in 2019. A game against Wilberforce in which they put up 119 points as well. They beat the Bulldogs by 50 in their final non-Division I game of the year and the final non-conference home game of the season. RedHawks will have a much tougher test coming up the road as they will take on Western Michigan here at home, followed by a trip to take on Toledo later on national television for their second conference game of the year. That comes next Friday, a week from today, January the 5th on CBS Sports Network, as the RedHawks take on a Toledo team that last season was the regular season champions of the Mid-American Conference. But Zach, I mean, not a whole lot to say about this game other than kind of figured it was going to go this way, and it did. RedHawks score 119 points. Obviously, there are some things to clean up. There were some things that didn't go exceptionally well for Miami, as you highlighted the defensive end, but overall you're just looking to get confidence and reps out of these types of games, and that's what this team got here right before New Year's.
Yeah, absolutely. A get-right game is certainly the way to describe this one. You got just about everyone on the roster, some good reps here. We even saw a walk-on three ball, which is always kind of a feel-good moment in college basketball, but nonetheless, you put up almost 120 points, and you feel pretty good about your performance in front of a pretty nice crowd, all things considered, with where we are in terms of the break and not really any students here. So obviously a lot to hang your hat on from this game, but now it's time to turn the page. You're looking towards MAC play, and you're looking to make a name for yourself in this conference under your new second-year head coach, Travis Steele. You want to try to find yourself in the top of those polls going towards the end of the year and find yourself in one of the nice positions in that MAC tournament to maybe pull off the unthinkable and make it to the big dance. But that's all way down the line. Now you just got to focus, turn your attention from this game against Wilberforce to Western Michigan here in a couple days and see what you can't do in MAC play.
Miami improves to 6-6 on the season, and they will waltz into MAC play with a 500 record, a chance to have a winning record for the first time this year, as they will take on Western Michigan coming up on Tuesday. We've got an eventful week coming your way next week with a couple of games for you here on Red Hawk Radio. It will be the men's MAC opener, as we talked about, next Tuesday on this January, the 2nd, 2024, as that is after the New Year holiday at 7 p.m. with the men taking on Western Michigan. And we will follow the next night with the women's MAC opener as Glenn Box plays his first conference game as Miami women's head coach. The RedHawks taking on Toledo at 7 the following night. That's Wednesday, January the 3rd. So we will talk to you then next Tuesday night, 6:30 coverage beginning, 7 o'clock tip between Miami and Western Michigan in men's hoops, and we hope you will tune in then. So until then, for Zach Rengers, rest of our great Red Hawk Radio crew, thanks so much for listening all calendar year long. We'll see you in 2024. Happy New Year, everybody. Final score here from Millett Hall on this Friday night is Miami 119 and Wilberforce 69. Second most points in Miami history in a single game put up by the RedHawks this evening, and they will carry that into conference play on Tuesday. We'll talk to you then. See you next time here from Millett Hall. Thanks for tuning into this presentation of Miami basketball on Red Hawk Radio.